They said the hype would fade. They said the last name was the only reason he was here. They said the NFL would chew him up before the first quarter ended. And then the lights came on in Charlotte. The crowd roared. Helmets glistened under the floodlights. Across the line of scrimmage, a defense with nothing to lose and everything to prove tightened their stance. The pocket was waiting to collapse. The critics were waiting to pounce. Every snap in this league is a test. But for a rookie, this was a trial by fire. This wasn't a warm-up. This wasn't a charity start. This was the kind of moment that carves reputations or erases them. One bad throw and the narrative writes itself. One mistake and the label project becomes permanent. But the thing about pressure is it doesn't just reveal weakness. Sometimes it reveals truth. The ball was snapped, eyes scanned, feet settled. And in that heartbeat between chaos and contact, Shedeur Sanders made a choice: play small or own the night. If you think this was just another August storyline, ask yourself this. If he'd stumbled, would the headlines have been quiet? Would the timelines have been kind? You already know the answer. Tonight, the noise didn't stop. It changed. And in Charlotte, under the weight of every doubt thrown his way, Shedeur Sanders began proving why QB1 isn't a fantasy. It's a countdown. When the Cleveland Browns called Shedeur Sanders' name in the 5th round, pick number 144, it wasn't with fireworks. It wasn't with banners or bold predictions. It was the kind of draft slot that whispers more than it shouts. A flyer, a maybe a let's see. From the moment he stepped into the facility, the quarterback room was already crowded. Joe Flacco, the veteran, the steady hand, the guy you call when chaos hits. Kenny Pickett, a recent arrival still adjusting to new colors, but with starter ambitions. Dillon Gabriel, the mid-round pick earmarked as a future option. And then, quietly added to the mix, Tyler Huntley, the insurance policy. No open arms. No open lane. Just a hierarchy that didn't have room for a rookie with no pro snaps. Then the game changed. Not on the field, but in the trainer's room. Hamstring issues took both Pickett and Gabriel off the board. Suddenly, the Browns needed a preseason starter. They handed the role to Sanders. But this wasn't a gift. It was a high-wire act with no safety net. In the NFL, reps are gold, and this was his first and possibly only shot to show the coaching staff he belonged in the conversation. Every throw would be studied, every read judged. One clean night could rewrite his place in the depth chart. One stumble, and the 5th-round rookie would slide back into anonymity. Tonight, he wasn't just taking snaps. He was auditioning for his future. The first series told a story the Browns didn't want told. Safe calls, short throws. The Panthers' defense sitting tight, compressing space, daring the rookie to take a risk he didn't want to take. 3 snaps later, the drive was over. Punt team trotting onto the field. That's the moment where doubt can creep in for the crowd, for the coaches, and for the quarterback himself. A slow start in August can turn into a long night in seconds. Then the game cracked open. On the next possession, Carolina's return man lost the handle. The ball hit the turf. A scramble of jerseys. And when the dust settled, Cleveland had it. First down, Panthers' 10-yard line. 10 yards from the end zone. 10 yards from changing everything. This is where rookies can shrink. Short field means short windows, quick decisions, nowhere to hide. Float a pass late, and it's a pick. Hold it too long, and the rush swallows you. The stadium buzzed, but in that moment, the question wasn't about noise, it was about nerve. Would Shedeur Sanders flinch, or would he step into the throw that could flip the entire night? The huddle broke. Sanders scanned the field, helmet tilting as his eyes traced every defender's stance. 2 high safeties, linebackers tied to the box. The Panthers were betting the rookie wouldn't read it fast enough. He settled under center, feet planted, hands steady. The cadence was calm, no rush, no wobble in his voice. Snap. The play was designed to move the pocket, cut the field in half, and force a decision. Sanders rolled right, shoulders stacked, eyes still downfield. The flat defender drifted forward just a step, and that was enough. His base stayed compact. No wasted motion, no leaning into the throw like he was muscling it. The wrist stayed loose, the release quick, and the ball left his hand on a frozen rope. 7 yards later, The receiver crossed the goal line. Touchdown. It wasn't the throw of a desperate rookie. It was the throw of a quarterback who understood timing. Hold the defender just long enough, trust the route, and put the ball where only your guy can touch it. Coaches see that. They don't see adrenaline. They see processing speed, discipline, and repeatable mechanics. They see someone who can execute the same throw in September, in December, in January. And in that moment, under red zone pressure, Shedeur Sanders wasn't playing to survive. He was playing to belong. After that first touchdown, the question was whether Sanders could do it again, or if that opening score was just a moment. The answer came on the very next possession. 5 plays, 60 yards. Every snap a chess move. The Panthers' defense tightened their splits, dropping an extra man into the box to clog the quick throws. Sanders adjusted the pace. No panic, no hurry. He used the check down when it was there, hit the sideline routes to keep the chains moving, and never let the defense settle into a rhythm. Then came the throw. Rolling to his left, pressure at his back, Sanders kept his eyes locked downfield. His hips and shoulders stayed square through the motion, even on the move. He launched, not a heave, not a prayer, but a perfectly arced deep ball that traveled 30 yards in the air, dropping into his receiver's hands like it was placed there. The catch, one-handed, right at the boundary, sent the sideline surging. Carolina tried to adjust again, flooding the end zone windows on the next snap. Sanders didn't bite. He worked through his progression, ignored the baited coverage, and found his man, Kaden Davis, slicing across from 12 yards out. Strike. Touchdown. Nothing about that drive was accidental. It was calculated, patient, and ruthless. The kind of drive that tells the other sideline, this isn't luck, this is what I can do to you, over and over again. And in less than 3 minutes of game time, Shedeur Sanders turned his debut from a highlight into a headline. When the teams walked into the tunnel, the scoreboard read 14-7 in Cleveland's favor. But the real story was on the stat sheet. In just 2 quarters, Shedeur Sanders had gone 11 for 18, 103 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, and 19 yards rushing. No interceptions. No reckless throws into traffic. Every completion had a purpose. Every drive had rhythm. This wasn't a rookie flashing once and fading. It was sustained execution across multiple possessions. He'd taken a short field and turned it into points. He'd engineered a long march capped with a strike. He'd answer pressure with movement, not panic. For the Browns coaching staff, those numbers didn't just fill a box score. They forced a conversation. Because in the NFL, you don't give more reps to a quarterback who might be ready someday. You give them to the one who's showing he's ready now. And on this night, in his first taste of pro football, Sanders looked less like a placeholder and more like a player demanding to be in the room when QB1 decisions are made. The first ripple started on the Browns sideline. By halftime, it had reached living rooms across the country. Deion Sanders didn't wait for the post-game show. The moment his son's first NFL touchdown hit the end zone, Coach Prime was on social media with a simple, emphatic yes. Oh, yes. When the second score landed, he doubled down. Oh, yeah, what now? No hashtags needed. Everyone knew who and what he was talking about. Then the spotlight grew brighter. LeBron James, Ohio's biggest sports icon, weighed in mid-game, calling Sanders a young king and dismissing the lazy narrative that it was only preseason. Coming from a man who knows exactly what it's like to carry the weight of a city, that wasn't casual praise. It was an endorsement. On social media, clips of Shedeur's throws flooded timelines. Hashtags trended. Fans and analysts alike dissected his mechanics, his poise, his reads. The conversation wasn't just about a rookie quarterback. It was about challenging the stereotypes that too often frame young black QBs as flash instead of craft. And when that conversation gets loud enough, it escapes the echo chamber. Coaches are asked about it in pressers. Film rooms start using the plays as teaching tape. The narrative shifts, and once it shifts, it's hard to shift back. In the NFL, reps are currency, and tonight Shedeur Sanders just cashed in big. Every clean throw, every composed read, every touchdown drive was like printing his own practice snaps for the weeks ahead. Coaches don't ignore that kind of tape. They can't. When the next practice script is drawn up, it's not just going to be Joe Flacco taking the scripted first-team reps. Sanders has earned his way into that rotation. More play-action keepers, more deep shot designs, more chances to show that what happened against Carolina wasn't a one-off. And if the momentum holds, the depth chart starts to wobble. Pickett and Gabriel may be working their way back from injury, but nothing is guaranteed. Tyler Huntley was brought in as insurance, but insurance doesn't win games, quarterbacks do. If Sanders strings together another performance like this, precise, poised, and repeatable, the rookie learning curve narrative starts to fade. And what replaces it? The idea that the Browns might already have their quarterback of the future, and he's ready sooner than anyone in the building expected. Back in the opening minutes, the haters were ready. They'd loaded the script before the game even started. Too raw, too hyped, not ready. They were waiting for the first overthrow, the first sack, the first rookie mistake to say, "Told you so." But that moment never came. Preseason is supposed to strip away the shine, to turn stories into statistics and reveal the cracks. Instead, Shedeur Sanders turned it into a showcase. Under the lights, against NFL speed, he didn't flinch. He didn't chase highlight reel chaos. He played grown man football, patient, calculated, and deliberate. He took a shaky first drive and built momentum. He turned a short field into points with surgical accuracy. He engineered a signature drive that looked like something from a quarterback twice his age. And he did it all without letting the moment speed him up. If this is the floor, the baseline of what Sanders can do in his very first taste of pro football, then what happens when the playbook expands? When the chemistry with his receivers is sharper, when defenses are forced to game plan for him like a starter, that's when the conversation shifts from promising rookie to problem for the rest of the league. So to the haters who swore this was just hype, the film says otherwise. The scoreboard says otherwise. The poise, the reads, the throws, they all say the same thing. QB1 might not be official yet, but after tonight, it feels a whole lot less like a dream and a whole lot more like destiny. What about you? After seeing this, is it still just preseason? Or is it the beginning of something Cleveland's been waiting for?